My name is Ruth Pianchi, and I'm the Senior Information Officer for the College of Arts and Sciences at the University of Alabama. And today I'm going to be talking to you about using the right tools to maintain quality service in a growing higher education environment. So to give you an idea of the growth that we've seen, last fall, the Chronicle of Higher Education ranked the University of Alabama #1 as far as enrollment growth. And for public doctoral institutions. And this was primarily because we saw a 71% rise in student population between the years 2002 and 2012. Give you an idea what that means. This last year, the enrollment for our classes was over 36,000. And I hear for the enrollment this year, we are still growing, so roll tide. Now, a little less dramatic, but more importantly to me and my staff, is that we also saw a 13% increase in faculty population between 2008 and 2014. As far as the actual numbers, in the College of Arts and Sciences, we have just over 400 tenure-track faculty, about 140 non-tenure-track instructors, and 180 staff that all work in 24 academic departments and 4 service departments and research clinics. As far as students, we have over 9,600 declared A&S students. Now by this I mean that the students have officially declared one of those 24 academic departments as their major. This doesn't include students who are coming in for core classes. So History 100, Math 100, English 100 to fulfill some sort of requirements, but actually are a part of other colleges. That is about, at least 10,000 students that we see a year in addition to this. Now, one of my roles is that I am in charge of the Office of Educational Technology. And we are a service group that is technology services support group for the faculty and staff for the College of Arts and Sciences. We have 11 full-time staff and 35 students. The majority of these staff are dedicated towards building and maintaining our web and digital content. But in the front lines, we also have a staff person who's in charge of scheduling and maintaining our computer labs, and then also a person that is in charge of the front office, dealing with walk-ins, phone calls, and emails. The people I want to talk to you primarily about today are 2 individuals. One is a staff person who's in charge of the faculty and technology support, and the other who is in charge of our inventory and logistics. So, for those of you who are wondering, 700 faculty staff, less than 5 staff to support them, what do we do? Well, what I'm going to talk to you today about is that the right tools are critical to maintaining the high level of support using minimal resources. Give you a little bit of history of how this all started. On April 27th of 2011, we had an F4 tornado tear through downtown Tuscaloosa. Now, people in Alabama will tell you that they are not strangers to tornadoes. We routinely have F1s and F2s come blow shingles off roofs and turn over mobile trailers. But this one was unique. It was about 5 miles per hour short of an F5. This was the first one of this kind of magnitude that actually went through the town and devastated parts of the city. Now, the thing that really kept the administrators up at night, you can see this is an aerial shot of the downtown, and this here is the pathway that the tornado took. And there's the University of Alabama, right there. So mere blocks away in some cases, less than half a mile away overall. So one of the things that really, although we were not damaged physically, we did have to deal with the logistical issues in the aftermath. Fortunately, given the time frame that it happened, it was towards the end of the semester, so even though it wasn't great, we ended up canceling early before finals. But the question that came up after all of this was, what would we do? I mean, if this sort of thing happened, if it had just been just about a half mile farther north, taken a different path, and actually had gone through the the university to do lasting damage or devastating damage, what would we have done? So as a result, the provost of the university declared that every college at the University of Alabama needed to provide an academic continuity plan. And I can tell you that over the last 3 years, the College of Arts and Sciences has successfully developed and executed a continuity plan. I'm not going to go into it because that would be a whole session in itself. But one of the outcomes of this plan was that the Dean of Arts and Sciences decided to issue iPads to every faculty and staff member so that no matter where they were, whether they were on campus or off campus, everybody had a way of connecting to the university and communicating with the university in the event of an emergency. Now, going back to the slide number 4, I had 700 iPads now to support, and my one staff member and his student, that equaled the tech support. So while it was not impossible, it was definitely a challenge. So here's how we made it work. My staff person did a little bit of research into what it would take to be able to manage this size or this number of iPads. And he found that mobile device management systems actually would allow you to do this. We found a particular one called Casper that we use. And we like it because it allows us to do central tracking. So we can keep track of things for inventory purposes, also warranty checks, and replacements. Because iPads don't last very long, so we have to upgrade them every few years. It also allows for a central distribution for purchased ebooks and apps. So if the dean decides he wants to purchase an app for all the staff people to use, or an ebook on teaching that he wants all the faculty to be able to have, he can go ahead and purchase them through the college and give them to us. We can distribute them to everybody and make only the people who are eligible for them be able to download them. Now, yes? Casper. Yep. Many people were very excited when they got these new devices, but we did have a few people who wanted to know exactly what a mobile device management system did, what I could do with it. And one of the things we liked particularly about Casper is that it did have limitations. So, for example, I cannot take over somebody's iPad. I can't view activity. I can't see what a particular person is doing on their iPad at any given time. I also cannot track people using their iPads. And then if somebody turns back their iPad, I can't look and see the history. I can't see what kind of activity they've done. So as much as I can try to convince people that I have no interest or time to be looking at what they're doing on their iPads, this is very helpful because it gives not only my staff protection, but it also gives faculty and staff the peace of mind that this is a device that's been given to them to help them, for them to be able to enhance their work and enhance their teaching and research experience. And it's not a way for the college to be tracking them and keeping up on them. So to give you an idea of what it looks like, when somebody opens up their iPad, they have a little icon, looks something like that, and it's called self-service. They open it up, they see this. So you'll see here that we have, this is the App Store. We also have ebooks. These are the two tabs that we primarily use. But you can see that we have a number of apps that are available to the person who is enrolled in this system. Now you'll notice iBooks is free. We have free and paid apps on here. And the reason being is that a lot of people, when they first get these devices, they ask us, where do I get started? What do I do? And so this is handy because instead of giving them a piece of paper with a list that they may or may not be able to keep track of 3 months later, this just easily sends it to their device so they can see all the ones that they're eligible for and ones we recommend. Now you'll notice again, keeping limitations, hands off. We make these available to them, but the end user ultimately decides which ones they want to install. So if they want it, great, they can install it. It's free, available to them. Anything on here they do not have to pay for, whether it's because it's free from Apple or free because we paid for it. But if they decide they don't want to, it just happily sits there. As far as the administrator point of view, this is a handy tool because we are able to easily query different things. So we can query by make, model, and also by the operating system that they're using. This is handy because a couple years ago, I think it was a couple years ago, Apple had to put out a security patch because they had some vulnerabilities with one of their iOSs. And so this was an easy way for us to just kind of look at everybody who was enrolled, see who was within that particular iOS, and send out a quick email to them that said, hey, you might be vulnerable, you really want to update with this patch. So we could notify them and let them know and get them to do that. Well, hopefully get them to do that. Now, no system is perfect, and this one is not an exception to the rule. We have seen some challenges when doing the iPads in general. The first one was from Apple itself. When Apple first released these devices, they had primarily released them as personal devices. And we were trying to use them as enterprise devices. And so a lot of times there were some issues there. One particular one was a couple years ago, Apple came up with a theft deterrent and online storage, which was essentially the iCloud. So people would log in and they'd be able to they'd have their system, they could log it in, they could store things to the cloud. If somebody stole it, tried to wipe it, they would not be able to get into it and assign it to themselves without being able to log that other person out of iCloud first. As a personal device, it's great, I love it. As an enterprise device, it's horrible, and it really was difficult. For example, if I had a staff person or a faculty person turn in their iPad and forget to log out of iCloud, I would have to either spend man hours chasing the person down to either have them come back in and log out of iCloud, or call them on the phone and try to convince them to give me their password so I could log them out, or I'd have to spend money to send it to Apple so that they could reset it for me. None of these were very good. Another challenge was just the sheer size. Last spring I had over 230 devices that I had to upgrade. And so just the logistics of ordering this magnitude and then scheduling all the faculty to come in and do their upgrades. And then also having them transfer the data from their old iPad to the new iPad when not all of them will update regularly. So we had a whole bunch of different iOSs excuse me, that were being used. Definitely a challenge. Going back to the iCloud woes, making sure that when a faculty person and staff person leave, making sure they get out of the system, and then also getting them out of Casper. We would have cases where people would not notify our staff person in charge of the system that somebody had left, and then the iPad would get reassigned to somebody else, and then all of a sudden we have duplicate people that own the same iPad. How do we know who's who? So it would take a little of straightening out because it would get confusing. We love our apps. We love the App Store. It's great. But sometimes apps just disappear, and nobody knows why. Sometimes it's because the vendor just decided they didn't want to support it anymore. It got bought out by a competitor. Or Apple decides they don't want to offer it. But you get used to, you fall in love with an app that you just want everybody to use, only to find out next week it's gone. So that can happen. And then also, we have some faculty and staff who are interested in doing everything themselves. They want to learn with minimal help. They want to do it all themselves. But I also have people who are very tentative when using technology, and they want a little bit more hand-holding. So how do you, when you walk into a room with somebody, how do you gauge if this person is somebody who wants just the minimal help or somebody who wants you to sit down for a while and talk to them? Solutions that we've come up with on these challenges. The first was from Apple themselves, and for them, that I'm profoundly thankful. They came up with a device enrollment program. So when you order iPads through this program, we can set up through an enterprise. We can do it ourselves. So we can streamline, get everything, the basics already downloaded. We can essentially image the iPads before they go to the faculty. This is great because instead of historically having to go through and have people set up their emails and set up all their other stuff on the iPads, they can come in, log in with their BAMA credentials, and everything will automatically then fall into place for them. It's great. It also allows us to enforce passcodes, and because it's our default, not the Apple default, if somebody should leave and the device gets reset, it's reset back to our university settings. So again, it's a theft deterrent, but it works for us this time. And then also they can't unenroll the device. So if they accidentally have something, they want to wipe the computer or the iPad for whatever reason, again, it'll go back to our system, and then they just have to re-enroll with their credentials, and they're on their way. We've also developed protocols, very descriptive checklists that we have for all of the staff. So when faculty or staff turn in the iPads or the devices to their departments or to us, we can go through the checklist and make sure that everything is taken care of and they've removed all of their information from the system. And that we notify the people who are in charge of a mobile device management system to get them out of there as well. And then just having the staff be flexible, getting used to being able to judge or gauge when they come into a room if the person that they're talking to, just through a series of conversation with them, if they're the kind of person that just needs some tutorials and wants to be sent on their way, or if this person is somebody who wants you to sit down with them and go over some apps and different things to help them figure out how to use the device. Now, the other nice thing about Casper, it's great for mobile device management, but it's also very good for computer management. And so we use it for our ANS computer labs, which is very handy because we have over 1,000 computers in 19 dedicated student and teaching and student learning labs. The one limitation is that Casper and many mobile device management systems can be specific to Apple. This is one of them. Fortunately, the College of Arts and Sciences loves Apple, so we currently have over 90% of our labs have Apple products, whether they be iMacs, MacBook Airs, Mac Minis. So this works out very well for us. And similar to the mobile devices, it is very useful for imaging, inventory, and also support. Now, I talked a little bit about the limitations for the mobile device side. The computer management side does not have such limitations, and that's okay, I don't care, because the computers that we are imaging and maintaining in this case are all public use. So any student can come in and use them. This is not set to an individual, and they're also frozen, so there's no personal information on these. So there's no claim or belief that there would be privacy on these machines. This is helpful because we can do remote diagnostics. So say if faculty member wants to teach in a particular lab and they are experiencing some problems. The students are experiencing some problems in one of the computers. Our staff person from his desk can remotely log in, check it out, see what's going on, and help diagnose from our office. So as quickly as possible, we can figure out what the problem is, get it fixed, and the faculty member can get on their way because they have a very limited time that they can be teaching. And so they'd like to be having as few disruptions as possible. The system also has the computers check in regularly, and it will send up red flags if there are any issues. So if we see any problems, we'll know about it immediately, and we can go fix it, hopefully before anybody else discovers it. And then also it's very useful for inventory information, mostly for warranty purposes. And sometimes these images, like I said, the images are frozen, but sometimes we'll have somebody will update something, and we'll need to have, whether it's one of the Safari or something that needs to be updated, that one of the apps that is before we would do our routine imaging of the computers, they can go ahead and send out a policy or a rule that will override just until we can get it permanently fixed. So again, it looks very similar to the mobile device. You can query, again, by location, have some different numbers here, make, model, serial numbers, IP addresses. And then you can also see that it keeps track when it last checked in and the last update. So we have them, I think they check in daily, so it tells you when it's done. Here's an example of a computer that had a bad hard drive. And so it alerted us, told us that its hard drive was failing. And so our staff person was able to send out a student. We have 2 students that help with computer labs. Was able to dispatch one of the students who could go out and grab the computer, get it fixed. And then just for warranty purposes, we have the purchase information so we can look up a PO if we ever need to do any fixes on the computers. And then another handy feature that we have is it shows all of the different applications that are on the computers. So all of our managed, centralized ANS computer labs have the same apps. But we may have a faculty member, especially in one of the department labs, who has a specific program that they're using for their class that the department wants to purchase license for just that computer lab. We can go ahead and do that, and then at a glance, we can see which computer labs have what software on them, and then we can also keep track of which ones have any unique software. So as far as the overall verdict, I would say that we would not be able to do the work that we do with the iPads and also with the computers with this kind of volume with people that we currently have. It allows us to do iPad distribution in weeks and also lab imaging in days, which is very helpful because I don't know about your universities, but I have a very limited window in which I can go in and image computers between when classes are going, because I have classes in the summer, classes in the fall, classes in the spring. So this is very helpful in that I can go ahead and do it in a very rapid time. So now I'd like to switch gears and talk to you about another tool that we're using, which is our inventory system. We currently have 10,000 pieces of ANS equipment that we track. This is computers, printers, monitors that are everywhere. All the offices, faculty office use, student use, teaching, research, everything. And this is very important because as a state institution, the taxpayers and legislature and board of trustees are very interested in how the money is being spent and what happens to the computers after we purchase them. So our college does an annual audit to keep track of all of this equipment. And we've done that by creating we built an in-house centralized ANS inventory system. So I have, and this is one that's managed by my one person in the inventory and logistics. So what the system does is it allows me to track things and put information down, including serial numbers, location, age of the equipment, etc. It's a handy way of storing records and making them centrally available for items that get lost or stolen, which unfortunately does happen, or God forbid I have a building destroyed. I can keep track of all the information in a very handy location. One of the nice features in this program is that they built it so that I have a function that allows the information to be downloaded to a mobile device. So the people, when our students are going out doing their, out in the field, when they're doing the audits, they do not have to carry reams and reams of paper with the information. They can just download it onto the iPad, take it with them. The iPad also has a feature where if they're in an area that doesn't have Wi-Fi, which some of the labs down deep, very deep in the bunkers, do not have Wi-Fi, then it can just store it locally, and then as soon as the iPad gets back into Wi-Fi region, it'll download it to the system. And then also, this is a handy way of providing me with lists of all of the computers and iPads when it comes time for replacements. And going back to slide 4, this is I have 1 staff member and 3 students who make up my inventory team. This is what it looks like. You can see that I have, well, maybe not read it from back there, but you can see that it has a number of different fields, including dates, year received, serial number, warranty information, where it's located, who it's assigned to, etc. We can also add fields or edit fields, so as our needs change over the years, we can adapt. And we can also do queries. So I can search by department if I want to do an audit. I can search by person if I have somebody leaving and I need to know what all equipment they have so I can recover it before they go. And I can also query by year if I want to know who's up for replacements at a given time. This kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like. When you do a query, it has whatever the different fields are that you asked for, make, model, when it was last inventoried, by whom and what the date was, again, location, department. Now, one of the really handy things is that this is also tied in with our replacement system. So we regularly replace our computers and iPads at 4-year intervals for computers, 3 years for iPads. And so what it does is it allows me at a glance to provide a list, come up with a list of everybody who's coming up this next year for replacement, who's eligible. The system, the replacement system also allows faculty and staff to log into it and make their requests. So we have a set standard computers that they can choose from, and they can go in there and they can put in their request online, get sent to us. Now, everybody would probably like a computer every year if they could. I don't blame them. But because we have limited funds, we have to limit it to the eligible individuals. And we do this by providing a unique code for each of the faculty or staff members to use. So if you are a person that is eligible this year, you would get an email that says you're eligible. Here's the link to go to the system. Here's the code that you need. So they'd go in, they'd enter their code, and it would ask first for them to verify their contact information. And once they do that, the system checks to make sure that the code and the computer matches up with the person that's trying to make the request. And if it works, they get through, and it shows that what computer it is that we think that they need to replace. So they know in case they have multiple computers. And then it has some information they need to verify. Once they confirm that that's actually their device, then they are allowed to start making their request. So what we've done is we've simplified it for people, whether you're a faculty person asking for a computer, staff person asking for a computer, or one of the individuals asking for an iPad. You can click on what you're doing that day, and then it asks for a little bit more information, and then you can continue. So for a faculty member, we give them the option of a desktop or a laptop, Mac or a Dell. So they can go ahead, and if they already know what they want, they can just check the box. For people who are so inclined, they can view the details, and it'll give them a list of all the specifications for the computer that is the standard computer or standard issue for that year. Once they select it, they can continue, and then it will show what you've said. Again, it has the verifying information of who they are, where they're located, and then making sure that that's the device that they requested. And then once if everything's okay, they submit it, and it comes to our logistics person, who then compiles the list and is able to use that to do the quotes and the orders, and then everything, the whole process once the computers arrive. I can tell you that I would not be able to keep track of all of this equipment without this system. The inventory system allows us 1 to 2 weeks. We can get in and out, and if it's a small department, we can get in and out in a matter of days. Some of the larger ones take a little bit more time, but all in all, it does not take more than 2 weeks to get through a department for inventory. And when I have 28 departments, it's important that we keep on track. It'll take, well, it doesn't take a day or two to compile the list. It takes a matter of minutes to compile the list. But we like to manually check it over to make sure that maybe some of the people on the list, if somebody's retiring in the next couple of months, we can manually remove them. But really, after doing the checks and making it go through the system, we can compile a list in a matter of just a day or so. And when the faculty or staff person come in to make their requests, it takes them a matter of minutes to do their request. If they know what they want, they just want the same thing they had last year, they can get it done in less than 5 minutes. People who want to think about it a little bit harder or debate what they want, check the specs, may take a little longer, but still we're not talking more than 10 minutes. Now, why do I care? Well, I care because it's all about IT cost containment. The Casper system, it costs money. But it's nice because they only charge me per machine. So the more machines I have, and I have a lot of machines, I pay less per machine because I get bulk discounts essentially. But they're only making me pay for what I'm using. And every year they go through and I just give them a list of what computers I have enrolled, and then that's what I pay for. Very handy. Both of these systems allow me to provide high quality service and support to our faculty and staff with the resources that I have. These are not their only jobs, I should say. The logistics person has other things. This is only one part of her job. Same thing with the iPad support and computer support. He's doing other things too. So it allows us to do everything that we need to do. And then also, I can accurately predict how much we're going to pay for how many computers we're going to be replacing over the next few years, which is very handy because it can maximize my efficiency, and it also contains costs. As far as why everybody else should care, well, then we start getting into analytics, using data to make decisions. And EDUCAUSE, for the last 2 years, has made this a top 10 IT issue item. Because it is data, it's critical for being able to determine usage and for making purchasing decisions using technology. So what I'd like you to leave with today, if you leave with anything from this talk, is that it is definitely possible to provide high quality service using with minimal resources using the right tools. For us, it happens to be the inventory system and the mobile device, the Casper system for mobile devices and for computer management. It's going to cost. There's no free lunch. So, whatever you have, you're going to have to pay. Either it's going to be time for somebody to build a system, or it's going to be money for somebody to purchase a system. But I firmly believe in investing in the front end will save you in the long run, because if for nothing else, it maximizes your efficiency and it'll prevent you from wasting money by either buying things due to lack of information or misinformation. And of course, using data and using analytics from systems like these, it can help you make smart technology decisions and maximize your return on investment. So I have my contact information if anybody would like to get in touch with me and ask any questions. Later on, if you think of any burning questions, you're certainly welcome to contact me or talk about some of the systems that we're using. But does anybody have any questions? Yes?
What do you use it for a help desk system? Since you have 700 plus devices.
We don't really have a help desk system. We have a staff person in our main office that handles calls and the emails. We have an email dedicated towards the iPad support if anybody's wanting to do that. We have a student who's available most days that they can get in touch with people. Usually if it's not immediate, usually many of us know how to use the iPad, so a lot of the questions are very simple. If somebody walks in, I can help them a lot of times with some of their questions. But we try to get them to make appointments, and then they can come in and deal with the experts.
Have you ever looked at, for example, Spiceworks for help desk, inventory, and scanning built in?
I have not. So we've debated about whether we should have a help desk. Most of the people, because we have so few people, most of them are, they just have a dedicated phone line and everything. They're usually able to handle it. But we have a task management system, but that's different. That's not anything that the faculty or the staff see. That's more of behind the scenes. But yeah, I'll keep track of that. Thanks. Yes?
So you're one of the colleges at the university.
Yes.
You're doing this, sounds great. Does any of this scale up to the university level? Do you share with any of the other schools and colleges there?
Actually, it does. Casper is nice enough that they allow us, when they look at the numbers, the total numbers of devices that we have, they look at all of the devices on campus. So the first college to go into the system, but since then, three or four other colleges and departments have adopted the system, and because many of them have many fewer devices. We're talking 50 or maybe 60, so they don't have very many, but they can benefit from the fact that we have so many. And then some of them, for a while, we did not have quite the 1,000 computers or the 1,000 iPads, which was the next bump up. And so, but because of the entire university that they count everybody, we have all been able to benefit. So we benefit from them as well as them benefiting from us. And we do, because so many people started using Apple devices, our staff person did set up a group that meets monthly to talk about Apple devices. So they kind of support each other, come up with different ideas, different questions. And so if anybody wants to try other types of management, like for imaging and other things, as a group, they can decide what they think is best. And then if they're trying to purchase new software, they can do cost sharing. Yes?
How do you reconcile to inventory databases?
The
Automated because Casper just does network scanning, it's automated
Unfortunately, it is a manual process. We can't have Casper talk to our inventory system, which is unfortunate. But we do, the majority of the iPads, of course, are with the faculty and the staff. So what we need to do, just to make sure that the iPads are still in existence, we do require people to bring them back on campus once a year for the audit, just to visually verify that they still exist, they're still with the person, and then they can go on their merry way. So we need that anyway, regardless of whether they're in Casper. The other computers that are in Casper are more reliable because they're desktop computers in the labs. So we know those aren't leaving the labs. And so what we can do is, that one actually works a little easier because our staff person who's in charge of that system can download the list of all of the different computers and then send that to the inventory person, who can just do a quick check and make sure everything matches up. So it does save some time. Yes?
When you send the email out from your inventory system, does it all fall on a certain timeline, or it's random that faculty may say, well, I'm not ready because it's in the middle of the semester, or I can give up my computer now?
Both. We typically do the replacements during the beginning of the fiscal year in October. Well, we send out the notifications at the beginning of the fiscal year. So around October, the faculty and the staff will get the notification of their replacements. Because it takes a while for them to get their requests in, compile, get them purchased, get them in inventory, get them imaged, blah, 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 they're usually getting them replaced sometime in the spring semester. One of the questions when they get into the system is if they would prefer a summer installation. And some of them do opt for that because they don't want to be bothered during the semester. And that's fine. If they want that, we just hold off, and then in the summer we'll go ahead and replace it. For faculty who are on sabbatical or who are in the middle, we had people that have been in the middle of important research projects and just don't want to be bothered with this sort of thing at that time, they'll defer. And so what happens is they say, I would like to defer for a year, and then they still stay in the system, and then the next year they have the offer once again. And this could happen on and on. I think eventually their computer will get too old to support the security, and so the patches and everything and support. So for security reasons, we do eventually make them, strongly encourage them to replace the computer just because it can't be supported anymore.
Are these purchased or leased?
Purchased. I'd like to lease, but I don't know realistically that I'd be able to get the faculty to give them back in a timely way that some of them require. Because I have been approached by Apple about leasing the iPads, which would be great, but like I said, sometimes it's hard to corral them back. So we do have a buyback program that we use. It's a third party through Apple. And so what we can do is when we get the new iPads, we can sell those back. And we do get a little bit of money from those recovered.
We use a program called Encore,
Mm-hmm.
and they, every 2 years, we can swap iPads. Exactly 2 years, they're really not useful.
Yeah, we've gotten to a 3-year, and it really, that last year, we're really pushing it, I know. So, because it changes so much. Those mobile devices change so frequently. Do you have difficulty getting the faculty to return them to you?
No, not at all. They want the newer one.
We do have a lot of faculty who do like the new devices, but I have a lot of people who either stick them in their drawers and don't pay any attention to them, or some people who like the old one and are used to it and want to hold on to it. So it just depends on the individual. Anybody else? All right, well, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming.